Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Punatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vithvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. Sorry for the delay in starting. Any questions on the base of the 4 spiritual disciplines? We're going to start Bhakti Yoga, but I hope the base is clear. Remember what the base is? We are the self. We do not know this. Because we don't know it, we suffer. Not knowing why do we not know this is because we are covered with desires. So spiritual disciplines are all those things that help us reduce our desires. Anything that helps us decrease desires becomes spiritual for us. Please note this very, very important thing. Something is not spiritual because it is called divine by other people. Okay, like going to a temple or a church or a mosque or doing some ritual. Today, my maids, they have been giving me a long lecture on what the scriptures tell us to do for this auspicious day, and wasting my time. I'm sorry, not wasting my time, but they want to tell me that I'm doing this all wrong. I've not put up all the stuff that I'm supposed to be. And so much peer pressure. I mean, obviously not on us, but imagine amongst them so much peer pressure to do this whole ritual, and those who don't do it are non-godly. So it's a very, very interesting thing that what is spiritual and what is not spiritual. A man going to office, doing his normal work could well be spiritual. A man going to the temple and praying could be non-spiritual. So, what is a spiritual activity? A spiritual activity is any activity that helps to
reduce our desires.
Reduce desires. So now there's no such thing as reducing desires, you all know. So therefore, spiritual activities should actually, as a method, okay, the result is your desire should reduce, but as a method, do what for us?
Purifying mind.
Okay, that is also an effect. But what are we doing? What are we going to consciously do? The method is going to help us consciously do what?
Single focus.
Focus on the higher.
Single point concentration.
Focus on the higher. That means we gain higher desires. Therefore, spiritual activities are those activities. Now, this is derivation, please. The rule is it should help you reduce desires. Now, derivation. Now, you can't reduce a desire. How can you reduce a desire? That's impossible. So, therefore, what are spiritual activities? That which helps you gain higher desires. Therefore, when you go to spiritual life, they tell you, be good, do nice things, blah, 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 because what are they trying to tell you is get higher desires. What happens is we use that as a yardstick of judgment that we are spiritual. So I go and serve the poor. Therefore, I'm spiritual. This jump of logic is not correct. Because you may serve the poor, which is definitely a good thing. So you got tick for that and tick for that. But it's not helping you reduce desires any further. You're stuck there. Therefore, as far as you are concerned, that individual is concerned, that action has ceased to be a spiritual action. It has become an involvement in the life. It's important to understand this. Therefore, we go back to the old definition, which is spiritual activities are those activities which
help us reduce desires.
Reduce desire.
So that's why we stick to that definition. Because the moment you move away from that, it creates like this good and bad. You know, like serving the poor is good, cheating somebody is bad. You know, it creates this good and bad. And that's why, divine people do good things, which is all correct. There's no doubt about that. But the problem there is we believe we do good things and therefore we're spiritual. No, that doesn't work. So, spiritual life is about understanding things that we have not yet understood. It is the expansion of the mind to consider what has not been considered before. You did not consider it before because
It was covered by desires, selfish desires.
you don't have a desire for that. Why will you think of it? Right? So you never thought of it, you never had a desire. Now we are going to put desires into you. You never wanted to do a PG diploma in Vedanta and leadership. Now we are adding that desire to you. Why are we adding a desire? Why are we not leaving it the way it is? Because the way to get rid of lower desires is to take up higher desires. Now you can take up higher desires by three things: by action, by emotion, and by thought. Three ways you can take this up. And therefore you get the three yogas. Now how do you get all the other religions? All the religions come because they do some permutation and combination of this thing. Like the Christians, for instance, say church every Sunday. And when you go to church, going to church is called going for
Service.
Please.
right. Who are you going to serve? You're going to serve the Lord. But what do we go and do? We go there and tell him, oh Lord, serve us. Ulta. We turn the whole thing upside down. We say, God, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. Hello, you are there to serve him. He is not there to serve you. Please get this clear. That's why going to church is known as service, because you're going there to serve the Lord. To serve the Lord means what? You're willing to give up your selfish, self-centered, petty desires for the vision of something greater, nobler, vaster than your understanding of your own self. We are stuck in pettiness because we see ourselves as petty. We see ourselves as unimportant. That's why we are stuck in pettiness. But when we understand our own grandeur, we cannot be petty. It is not possible. When you understand you are the self, how can you think of some stupid petty thing? Ganga, 1 second. I think there are questions here. Okay, so base is clear. We are the self. We don't know this, hence we suffer. Why don't we know this? Because we have desires. So what are we supposed to do? We take up the spiritual path. What is the spiritual path supposed to do? Reduce our desires. How are we going to reduce our desires? Through the three methods of action, emotion, and thought. These are the three methods we have to reduce it. We do our actions in a particular way, we do our emotions in a particular way, we do our thinking in a particular way. Now, what is that particular way? It is thinking of higher. Our actions for the higher, our emotions for the higher, our thoughts towards the higher. And these bring the three yogas, and all the other religions are just some particular permutation and combination of these various things. This much base, I hope, is clear. Once these desires are reduced, we are ready to take up meditation and through single pointedness then reach that ultimate goal. This is the path. Now, let us see the questions. Arun said, if Bhakta worships a form, is there a danger of the worship turning into preferential love? How does one safeguard against it? I'm so interested in all the dangers that the Bhakta faces. Nobody asked me what are the dangers Jnani faces. All these people, everybody in the class, is so anti the Bhaktas, I can't tell you. Yes, there's a whole bunch of dangers that the Bhakta faces, just like there's a whole bunch of dangers that the Jnani faces and the Karmi faces. Now, how do you safeguard against all of them? There's only one real method. And that, it's the bottom line of everything. There are, of course, techniques, but the bottom line of it is, do remember what you're doing it for. That's all it takes. And it's so easy for us to just forget the purpose. When you forget the purpose, you're off the path. It could be in karma, it could be in bhakti, it could be in jnana. In karma, people get more involved in serving people and they forget that they're there for self-purification. And so when we're serving people, it becomes an egoistical activity. Because now you are somebody up in the skies who's going to do all this for all these people. It becomes egoistic. We serve other people not because they need it, but because we need it. We have to purify ourselves. So we have to understand that thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve you. Because if you did not give me this opportunity to serve you, I will stay with my selfishness. So that's no good. So therefore, I take a, what should I say, not subservient is a bad word. I take a more realistic stance. When nobody's life is stopping because we don't do the service we're doing. They will get on fine without us. But we need to do. So karma, the people in karma get involved in, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. They all dance around it. They don't realize they weren't involved. Then the bhaktas, they love their Lord, they love their Lord, they love their Lord. To the point that they sometimes may believe that only their understanding of the Lord is the right understanding. Meaning, my Lord is good, your Lord is bad. Your Lord doesn't exist, only my Lord. So a true bhakta is not like that. Now, so in each path, there are dangers. A true bhakta will not fall into all this. A true bhakta will see his Lord everywhere. Like a true lover will see his beloved everywhere. Even, what is his name? Majnu. He saw Laila everywhere. Wherever he went, he saw only Laila. Because that thing is in your mind all the time. No? So you hear Christ, and if you are a Krishna bhakta, then when you hear the word Christ, your only thought is Krishna. You heard Shiva, Krishna. You heard Allah, Krishna. You heard whatever you heard. In your mind, it just converts. Just as if your mother's name is Malti, all right? So somebody calls her Malti. In your mind, it converts to Mummy. Somebody else calls her Didi. In your mind, it converts to Mummy. Somebody else calls her Dadi. In your mind, it converts to Mummy. So though you're hearing various different ways of calling that person, your understanding of that word is always mom or whatever it is you call your mom. So as long as we remember that, we are safe. Same thing in Jnana. In Jnana, people get so involved in intellectual sensuality. They forget they're here for purification. Understanding Vedanta is a stepping stone to realizing the self. There is nothing to be gained by the study itself. Have you read that book? Have you read that book? That book is so beautiful. This is blah, blah, blah. Don't do. Doesn't matter what is in the book. It matters what is over here. Not as a memory. but as the person we are. So all three have their problems, and there's a common solution, and that common solution is
To always know why you're doing it.
why you're doing it.
Remember the word.
Have your purpose clear. Is that okay?
Yeah, Janki ji, no, it's fair. I guess as against karma and jnana, the challenge here is that it's not Mr. Krishna versus Mr. Christ. Not the issue. It's Krishna versus self. So I think that's where one can get stuck.
No, why? Because if you believe that the self is the reality, you're Krishna, self, you're Christ, self, you're anything in your mind, it converts as self.
Yeah, that conversion is a challenge. That's where.
Okay, so don't try the conversion. If it is Krishna, keep it to Krishna. Because we do. What is the word Krishna and what is the word self? It is no meaning other than the meaning we give it. Right? We don't know. Suppose I say Krishna. Suppose I tell Joyce Krishna. For her, there is nothing. It's just a sound. I mean, I'm assuming she has not studied the whole, you haven't heard all the stories and you're not all excited about him. So for somebody like that, nothing. Suppose I give you the name of some Zulu god, whatever. Suppose the Zulu god is, I don't know what, Pirokuchu. Now I tell you Pirokuchu. Now you don't know what is this Pirokuchu, right? So it doesn't trigger anything in the heart. So what is important is that something is triggered in the heart. That is what is important. So if Krishna triggers that, then so be it. Why do you need to change it? Let it be so. But slowly you understand that Krishna will mean this. It will slowly unfold that Krishna is, where is this Krishna that I'm looking for? First, it's very clear that his power is everywhere. Everybody will agree to this, right? So his power is everywhere. So what do you mean his power is everywhere? That means he is also everywhere. How can his power be there and he is not there? So he's there everywhere. He's there with me all the time. He's there. It is that constancy of him being there with me is what is the critical part of this. So it's important that each one stays with their own cultural antecedents. If somebody is a Christian, he should think of Christ or Father in heaven. If somebody is a Muslim, he should think about Allah and Muhammad. Somebody is a Shaivite, he should think about Shiva. Because why do we need to make this change? Whatever inspires my mind, getting my mind to get inspired is very difficult. Now, my culture has spent time, effort, and energy in making my mind inspired with something. Let's go with it. So don't change it. Let it be Krishna. But let it be Krishna or Christ or whoever it is, and slowly understand that he is with me at all times. Right? So that brings eternal. He is at me at all places. That brings all pervading. So it grows into that consciousness. We don't need to do anything. Why do you think there's no concept of conversion here at all? Not only conversion, these Hindus are very smart. I'll tell you, all you others who are not Hindus, these Hindus are very tricky people. They don't go around converting anybody to their religion. You know what they do? They convert every god to their religion. They'll say, oh, you're a worshipper of Christ. Christ is a form of Vishnu. Everybody becomes Vishnu. So there is no concept because it doesn't matter what you call it. You call it X. And as long as that word X inspires you, we're good to go. Because that's all we want, right? That the mind be inspired to something higher. That's all we're looking for. Okay, Arun?
Janki, thank you.
Have you given up? Sorry, did I not answer your question? Just out of sheer exhaustion, give up. If I have not answered the question, then you can always say so. Basically, it is you don't need to convert Krishna into self.
Yeah.
If Krishna works, then go with Krishna.
Yeah, no, absolutely no answer is clear. I think I think some more reflection will help on this answer from my own from my own understanding point of view, to internalize this. I think the answer is very clear.
Yeah, Ganga.
Last Saturday, you mentioned that you said a sentence that is very basic in Vedanta. You said, "We are God." So it triggered that the more we come to this divine light and divine fire, it burns all these petty daily obstacles we have in our mind, like fear, like projections, and then the prism from which we see things also is seen through this divine light. And so it's not seen through the fear of doing this, the I like, I don't like, I don't want to go there, I want to go there. So the more we get near, the more even our perception of things deviates through this divine light, and things fall down relatively, but they don't become a mountain. They become what they are, nor more nor less. This is how I heard this last weekend.
Yes, that's right. Once you understood that the self, the divine principle, is the fonse roigo, fonse torigo. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Then you got that, right? Once you got it, that is the base of it all. And from that concept comes the Indian concept of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. I don't know if you've heard this concept, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The world is family. How can it not be? Because we are all one. Like every object, every being, everything is part of that divine consciousness. So, if we are able to look at life like that, then the entire picture changes. It's almost like you were wearing red glasses and seeing everything red and fiery and hot, and then you go like maybe blue glasses, and now you see everything infinite and vast and sort of, what should I say? All encompassing. But when you move from red to blue, you've made that shift from Rajas to Sattva. Eventually, you have to remove the glasses. Don't forget that. So you don't see it like that. You are it. Joyce, you had something?
Yes, it's actually an observation. Since I started listening to your teachings, I mean, I'm a very, very, very long way still to reach what you are saying now, this self-realization. But I noticed something, that from being stuck in the pettiness of daily life with everything around me, I noticed that not only I am changing, but the attitude of others towards me is changing, and they are less and less trying to drag me in this pettiness again. So I just wanted to share this with you, because it's a life-changing experience for me. And although it's the first step still for me, I already notice a change in the environment and in the attitude of others. So I just wanted to thank you.
Yes, all thanks to Vedanta coming down to us from time immemorial. But it's a great point which you have brought up, which is that when we change, we notice the world has changed. Because we don't get it that we are part of every equation. If somebody is bullying me, I feel he is bullying me. I don't get that I am part of that equation. When I'm not available for bullying, he cannot bully me. If I'm not available for being a victim, you cannot victimize me. If not, I'm not available for being flattered, you cannot flatter me. So I am just part of every equation. This, we studied it a long time ago in the text, and I'm sure most of you have forgotten, but there's a very fundamental law. Experience is equal to subject plus object. Very fundamental. My experience is the way it is because there is an object of a certain nature and there is me of a certain nature. My experience will change if the object changes or if I change. If I manage to change myself, if I change an object, I change one experience. If I change myself, I will change every experience. Because one part of that experience I've changed for everything. It's so fundamental, it's so basic, it's so, like, now all the older students, they will say, what is experience? The subject plus object. It's like almost mechanically everybody knows it, but we don't realize the significance of that statement. Every single time I have experienced something, I am part of that equation. And to the extent I change myself, I will have a different experience. So that's what Joyce, in her way, has told us today, that she finds not only she has changed, but others have changed. A very interesting thing, because how I am studying Vedanta, why are you people changing? No, it seems like they are changing too. If I was fighting with my mom and I study Vedanta, I feel like my mom has changed. No, but I have changed, and therefore how people react to me will change. So it's a good point, Joyce.
We change our whole environment, not just people. This is what I'm observing. Yeah.
Yes, correct. The rooms which were messy will become clean. Because when the nonsense from the mind goes, nonsense from the physical environment.
The clutter.
Yes, clutter goes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it is correct. You're absolutely right. Okay. So everybody is clear as to the base of the 4 spiritual disciplines, because on this base, we're going to now go deeply into each of the spiritual disciplines. But we must understand what the base is, because fundamental principles is what Vedanta is about. So, of course, there has to be explanation, because when we don't do an explanation, the fundamental principle doesn't occur to us what this thing means. For instance, take a simple example. Completely off the point, but just a simple example. Every single person in this class, which I can prove to you right now, fundamental principle, world equals, please answer. World equals
Space plus matter.
Reflection of your mind.
World equals, what happened?
Reflection.
Subject plus object.
World equals, don't do this to me, please. This is very sad.
Experiences.
What happened? World means change. Oh, what happened to you people? Everybody knows this. Does anybody not know this? World means change. Everybody in this class knows. Right? When I say it, then you say, of course, I know that. World means change. What do you understand from that? Every single thing in this world changes. Right? No debate here. It's just a question of time. It has to change. Everybody knows this. It's a fundamental principle. World means change. Now, suppose we say world means change and move on. Then you remember for next time world means change. But it doesn't occur to us, what does it mean? What does it translate into my life? It translates into how much money am I allowed to spend? Think about it. You remember we've already discussed how much money, how do we deal with our money? We have 3 uses of money, correct? Remember the 3 uses of money? What are the 3 uses of money? 1,
For
Dharma,
dharma.
dharma. 2,
charity,
that is dharma only, no?
investment,
Investment. And 3,
own expenses.
expenses. 3 uses of money. Number 1, you use it for dharma, means you use it for service, you use it for charity, you use it for religious rites. When you give donations in your temple, church, or mosque, you're doing part of that 1/3 which you're supposed to do. When you give a donation to an NGO, when you do something, all that comes under dharma, because you're using your money for the welfare of others. Second thing you use your money for is for your own welfare, which means you're saving and you're investing, because that is your welfare. One day you're going to be old. Who's going to look after you? Are you going to go begging then? So for second. Third, use of money is what you spend today. Right? So now let us say you did 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Now you have been doing this. Then a parent falls very unwell, or something happens to the house, something like that. Some big ticket expenditure comes. And whatever corpus you have built disappears because that big ticket expenditure came. Possible, no? How do you deal with this? You remember, world means change. I had 1/3 of my income to spend. I am spending 1/3, but do I not know that every year in my house, something or the other will break and needs to be replaced? Where is that one thing coming from? It's coming from this 1/3 only. Illness will come to me. Where is that money coming from? It's coming from this 1/3. It's not coming from those 2. So when I'm spending this 1/3, I have to take it into account. Do you know how comfortable life is if you keep at the beginning of a year a budget for breakages? Then when your staff go around breaking things, you're okay because they're broken within that budget. You're safe. Because world means change. Objects break. There is decay, disease, and death here. You know this. All this is coming from the 1/3. If you've already accounted from it, you just imagine the degree of comfort your life is. You never feel like you've been taxed because everything is accounted for. So when you hear world means change, the ramifications down to how much you're going to spend in this month, you must be able to make that connection, no? Otherwise, we learned in philosophy, world means change, and life goes on the way it is. World means change means what? Every single object in your life is perishable. That's what it means, no? That means every fun piece of furniture, every glass, every bulb, every tube light, every air conditioner is going to conk off. The car is going to conk off. You know all this. Right now you know it. So Vedanta gives fundamental principles. We have to take those principles, think about those principles, and understand what they have to do with our life. Otherwise, we will just memorize the principles and that's it. That doesn't help anybody or anything. So explanation is required for that. Isn't it more applicable to relationships? It's applicable to everything, Uttara. World means change. Relationships will change, no doubt. What about the objects? How often do you think you need your car to change? You're not going to use the same car for 50 years. So in your mind, you have to know that my car is going to change every 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, whatever number you have put for yourself. It doesn't matter what your number was. What is important is you put a number.
Jankiji, but basically, like we take our relationships more for granted rather than the objects, don't we?
No, not really. We take our objects for granted also. When the servant breaks a glass in the house, don't you get irritated? As if that glass was supposed to be permanent.
Yeah,
Well,
true. Yes, thank you.
Okay, base clear, understand what we do in Vedanta as fundamental principles, what we do in class is explanation, what you do in morning studies, understand that, all of this thing. Okay, base of everything should be clear. Now, Bhakti Yoga. Warning, because everybody in Vedanta class has some kind of thing against the poor bhaktas. They think these bhaktas are all very foolish people. They are not. Bhaktas are very smart. Very smart, not because they're intellectually brilliant, but please remember that a true bhakta means has to be spiritually developed. And because you are spiritually developed, you see things that other people don't see. So that's how they're so smart. Not because they are smart, but because it's obvious to them, things which are not obvious to smart people. Have you not noticed sometimes very dumb people tell you things which you learned from? That's not because they were smart, but because of their growth, they see things that we are not seeing. Growth gives you objectivity, right? So you see things that others don't see, which is different from the intellect itself being very smart. The intellect being very smart, then you will take up to Jnana Yoga. But the bhakta can defeat the jnani anytime as long as he is more spiritually grown. Okay, so let's study this path, Bhakti Yoga. Who will read? Mukesh, you are not muted. Did you want to ask something? Is there anybody new in class and is completely confused? I don't know who is iPhone or M. Okay, everybody okay? Shall we proceed? Please let me know if something is not clear so that we can deal with it. Okay, Bhakti Yoga. Who will read Bhakti Yoga? First paragraph.
I can read.
Please.
Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion. Bhakti means devotion, and Bhakti Yoga is the path of devotion designed for persons in the emotional category, generally misconstrued as a path of blind faith, superstitious belief, or mechanical ritual. Bhakti is not merely a fanatic attachment to a personal god to the exclusion of other gods, nor does it mean a zealous upholding of a cult or creed against others. Yet people throughout the world follow these practices without probing into their validity, and religious prayer and worship is directed merely to gain either material benefit or mental solace. So the first yoga is Bhakti Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga is the path of devotion, and it is meant for people that are more emotional. But it's misconstrued as a path of blind faith. And Bhakti is not the worship of one God to the exclusion of others, or not the adherence to one creed against others. But people misunderstand the practices of Bhakti Yoga, and their practices are directed for personal gain, either material or mental, and not for
Okay,
devotion
so give us
towards
the three main points from this as briefly as you can.
Bhakti Yoga is meant for people belonging to emotional category.
Very good.
Bhakti is not fanatic attachment to a god to the exclusion of other gods.
To a god or a cult or a creed.
Or a creed, yes.
And third one?
People misconstrue these practices for personal benefit, material or mental.
Material benefit, correct. Why do people go to worship God? Why this fanatical attachment to God? Why is my God so great? Because he fulfills my desires. Okay, so three errors of Bhakti. Not three errors, two errors of Bhakti. One is Bhakti is meant for emotional people. Why is it meant for emotional people? It's not like there's something wrong with emotional people, so they have to do Bhakti. It's not like that. It is they feel a lot. Why do you choose any yoga? Because you're as it is doing that thing. Yoga, the process of yoga, the process of spiritual growth is taking what you are doing already and redirecting it to something better. You don't have to start doing anything else. You just take whatever you're doing and just tweak it a bit. That's all you're doing in the spiritual path. So what are these emotional people doing? They feel a lot. You say something to them, they'll say, oh, why didn't you talk to me like that? You don't say something to them, they'll say, oh, why didn't you talk to me? They feel a lot. Whatever happens, they open a newspaper, they read, oh, this thing happened here, they'll feel a lot. Anything, they'll see a cartoon film also, they'll feel a lot. They'll feel love, they'll feel anger, they feel a lot. They have it in them to feel a lot. Some people just don't feel so much. They start analyzing everything. So same incident, okay? Two people are watching a movie. One is watching, they're watching Romeo and Juliet. One is saying, oh, how sweet. See how nice Romeo is. See how beautiful Juliet is. The whole thing is around feeling a lot. They only feel. The other one will say, the lighting in this movie is very good. And that will irritate that emotional person a lot. What nonsense are you talking? Kill the whole mood. That they can't help it. The other person is not feeling. Naturally, he or she will talk about whatever they are experiencing, right? So these emotional and intellectual people, they don't usually get along. Only problem is usually they get married to each other. So there's a problem with that. So I don't know why these two types have to keep marrying each other and then complain, you're like this, you're like that. But the thing is, the emotional person feels a lot. Since you're feeling a lot, let us direct this towards something higher. Directing it to the higher is known as Bhakti. Now, we are not trying to make people who feel a lot not feel a lot, because why should we do that? They feel a lot, very good. Feel a lot, please only use those feelings for the higher. That's all it is. Vinay Gupta. I'm new to this class and everything is clear to me now. Thank you very much. Okay, great. If you have a question, please feel free to ask them. Okay, so emotional people are people who feel a lot. Means they see everything, whatever they go through. Even they come to Vedanta class, they'll say, oh, I love this person. She's so sweet. But I hate this person. She doesn't talk nicely at all. Whatever. It's a feeling. The intellectual will come and say, no, this sounds very reasonable. I think this is clear, or the other way around. It's not reasonable. It's not clear. It's illogical. They talk like that. So these emotional people who are feeling a lot have to use those feelings. They are blessed to have so many feelings, right? Because the rest of us don't, our hearts are not awake that much. We don't feel only. So those who are blessed to have feelings, let us use these feelings to reach the higher. So emotional people take up bhakti. Now that they are feeling, what happens to them? Now here's a person. He or she feels, oh, my son is not doing well, so sad, so sad, so sad. That's what's going on in the mind. So what do these people do? They go to the temple or the church or the mosque, their guru or whoever it is, they feel, then they'll say, please bless me, make my son do well. Now this is where we go wrong. The first part is okay. The second part is the problem. Because when we go to God, we go to God so that we are cleansed of our pettiness. We don't go there to ask. We go there to serve. That's why every time we go to a religious place, every single person who goes there has to do what? Every religion, every religious place, what are you supposed to do when you go there?
Surrender.
Yeah, but what are you supposed to do?
Some sort of service.
Some seva.
Don't you have to give dakshina every time you go there? There is a big box. You go anywhere, you have to put something into that box. At least some amount of giving you're forced to do, whether you like it or not. Give. Don't seek to get, seek to serve, seek to give. Everywhere we go, gimme, 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 gimme. Abhi, what is gimme, gimme, gimme going on? This is a gimmick. People say, come to me, I will give you this and I will give you that. It's a gimmick. When you come to Vedanta, does Vedanta say, I'll give you anything? It tells you, get up in the morning, study, work hard, do your work. Nobody's offering you anything over here. What is this gimme, gimme, gimme culture? I don't understand. Give me this, give me this, give me this. Why don't we say, this is what I'm willing to do? This is what I'm willing to put in. This is my effort. Why am I not giving it? Everybody wants. See, suppose you hear of a friend who got a huge inheritance from some unknown person. What is your reaction? Suppose Madeline tells us that my friend, she was working at the McDonald's and somebody left her a tip of $50,000. Sorry, not dollars. What is it in France? What is the currency? I better learn about
Franc.
Francs, huh? 50,000.
Oh, euros.
Euro.
Oh, now
Euro.
euros. Yeah, of course. Euros. So after 50,000 euros as a tip. What is our thought on that? Nobody's leaving me 50,000 tip. A spiritual person's feeling on that is, why don't I leave somebody 50,000 euros too? I can understand how much pleasure I get should someone give me that kind of money. And I want them to give me this kind of money. So why am I not the one who gives somebody that joy? So you see, our gimme, gimme, gimme culture translates into every facet of life. So since it is there with us all the time, when we go to the temple or the church or the mosque, it continues. Now, God help me if I went to a particular temple or church or mosque and actually got it. These are the people who wreak havoc. Because now they'll go and tell everybody, you go to that temple, you will definitely get it. So Jagruk Devi. Jagruk Devi means, how do you translate Jagruk? Jagruk means awake. Some gods are considered to be awake, means they grant your wishes. So all the time, we are saying, who is giving me? When will we say, who am I giving? When will we say this? So Bhakti Yoga means, I will give you my love. I don't want your love. I want to give you my love. You may not like me, but I like you. If you don't like me, probably you're right. Because I like you. Maybe I'm not likable, but I like you. Always the attitude is, what can I give? In Bhakti, of course, we're talking about emotions. That doesn't mean, of course, that we go on manifesting our emotions indiscriminately. Suppose we tell, suppose Madeline learns in class today that, oh, you should love everybody. Then after class, she goes out of the house and there's some man walking by her house and says, oh, I love you so much, and gives him a tight hug. That poor man will get a heart attack, isn't it? So we don't have to express our affection. We just have to feel the affection. We're not doing karma yoga. No action is required of us. All that is required is that we love all. We don't create artificial barriers. We don't create what are nowadays called urban tribes. These type of people are my friends, and those type of people are not our type. We don't do all this sort of thing. Bhakti yoga is my capacity. Is directing my emotions from my welfare to your welfare. Please don't misunderstand it as doing something. It's just a feeling. Because as long as it's a feeling, it will come under Bhakti yoga. So regardless of how you behave, regardless of who you are, regardless of your views, regardless of everything, I love you. I love you not because my love is something, is a prize that you have to win. It's just something that is given freely.
Jankiji,
Yeah,
I
Naeem?
understand that part where it's about feeling and not necessarily about action. But if you truly feel, doesn't it always manifest in action?
Well, your actions have to be determined by your intellect. You cannot afford to let the feeling manifest as action. That will create trouble in life.
Yes, thank you.
Where that is coming from is lots of people give lip service to these ideas, and therefore we find their actions dichotomous with their words. So you're referring to that really, because people can claim many things, but we're not talking about what people say, and we're not talking about others also. We're talking about, if I can see that somebody opposite me is completely hypocritical in what they are saying, can I still maintain my love for them? Can I do it? See, I expect the whole world to love me, regardless of my faults. But I'm not willing to love anybody, regardless of their faults. So Bhakti Yoga is just the capacity to meet everybody in everything with that same love and affection, that same feeling of unison. And when you live your life like that, naturally, when you go to the temple or the church or the mosque, it's the same, right? You don't go there and ask for anything either. You neither ask anything of man nor you ask anything of God. Because you're only concerned with your capacity to love people, to love everything, independent of what that thing is. And if that sounds like a very high ideal, then please realize that it's not really, you're already doing it. When you put on your National Geographic and you see the tigers and the lions and the shark and the snakes and all sorts of things you see over there, mighty violent creatures. Aren't you amazed at it? I mean, don't you love them and say, oh wow, look at that tiger, wow, it's powerful. Jaws rip this neck apart of you. You were appreciating, no?
Janki-ji,
Go ahead, Madhu.
but isn't it selfish if at second thought, if I have love for everybody and I see somebody in a bad situation, and if I second thought, my intellect says, well, at second thought, I think I will keep the money to myself. Isn't that being selfish?
It is, except that your second thought is not intellect, it's just the mind. The mind is not a single entity. Mind means that you have all these irrational thoughts going around, right? So all of us have a certain amount of unselfishness and a certain amount of selfishness, right? So this is all in the mind. It is what the Gita calls Bahu Shaka Anantascha. Bahu Shaka means many branched. Ananta means infinite. So it's many branched and infinite, the nature of the mind. So there's some good, there's some bad, there's a potpourri going on over here, right? So a good thought comes, then a bad thought comes to circumvent that thought, then maybe another good thought comes, and maybe another ridiculous thought comes. All this is a sort of churning pot going on here. None of it is single pointed. It takes an intellect to have purpose, cause, goal to become single point. So when the person is an extremely, there's no purpose, no cause, no goal, and the person has this whole potpourri of thoughts going on, then we say, okay, you got a good thought, execute it. Because your bad thought is coming very quickly. So therefore don't have second thoughts, just do it quickly before you have a chance to sort of let your selfishness catch up with you again. So that's under that particular condition. That because that person is grappling with the concept of unselfishness, is not able to serve. So therefore, the moment you get a thought, do it in 5 seconds. Because after 5 seconds, you'll have another thought that will stop you. But that is in that particular condition. But let us say that you become more stable in your unselfishness, then you need to start thinking about it. Not because you don't wish to serve, but because you wish to serve better. You don't want to serve impulsively. What can I do for you? Which could be give you the best possible result. I have to think about that. Did I tell you about that lady who wanted to help her staff member who had cancer? I told you about that lady. So, I mean, very good idea, very good notion. She spent a lot of money, but did it work for that lady? You know, otherwise, what's the point, right? You wanted the welfare of the person, then make sure that the welfare of the person happens. Otherwise, I am doing it because I feel like doing it. I enjoy doing it, not because you are served.
Clear. Thank you, Jankiji.
Ganga, the mind is an abyss, the heart makes a bridge. Nisargadatta. Okay. Yeah, so you know, Ganga, these words are used differently from the way we are using it. We would use it just the opposite. Because the intellect makes that bridge, because we're using intellect in the sense of the higher thought here. He's using heart in the sense of the higher thought. But idea is the same. That it's a very good, nice quote that there's an endless abyss of selfishness, and somehow we have to cross this thing. Okay. So that's it for today. We'll continue with Bhakti Yoga next time. What are the Ganga's here? So you know that Ganga is organizing a retreat in France. All of you all know that. Whoever wants to join in, please come. And what else? If you all want to do the PG diploma, because you want to tell them anything, Ganga? Or you've already informed everybody everything? All done? Okay. So, and then there's a PG diploma course. If any of you all want to do it, it's a 1-year full-time residential course. Then please fill in whatever form for that. Anything else I have to say? Nothing, no? Okay, so then that's it for today. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om, Janki ji. Thank you.
Hari Om, Janki ji. Thank you.
Hari Om, Janki ji. Thank you.